We are down here in WICR, the dungeon of the Penta. Mike Ritz here, Jon Stanko here for Week 5 preview podcast. We're going to skip the Week 4 recap. We got a busy week. We had a busy week. Very busy week. Mike's been busy in the office, and I've just have had no life. But we're going to get you the Week 5 preview right now, and we're going to start with a Thursday night game. The Buffalo Bills coming off a huge win at home against Baltimore, thrashing them, forcing Flacco to throw 5 interceptions, going into the Cleveland Browns, who have won 2 straight games or are tied for first in the AFC North.
How about the Browns, Johnny Stank? What happened to them just tossing away this season, getting rid of Richardson? Everyone was bashing on the Browns. Oh, they're going to go 0-16. They're going to be like the Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
They pull off 2 huge wins in the past 2 weeks. And then I guess going into this game, I have them going on a 3-game win streak. They are playing in Cleveland. They have a surprisingly okay defense. E.J. Manuel hasn't really proved himself on the road yet. So because of that, the Bills aren't in Ralph Wilson Stadium, which has proved to be the mecca of professional sports. But going into the game, I really don't see Buffalo coming away with this win. I see Cleveland. I see Hoyer, your boy Hoyer, having another really good game. And who would have thought the Browns, after getting rid of Trent, might be a better team, Johnny?
Yeah. I think the emergence of Jordan Cameron at tight end for Cleveland has just been a monster. 5 touchdowns already, 30 receptions. He's a perfect red zone target. I think he's been I think no one saw him being this big. I don't think. Brian Hoyer, you know what? Through 2 games, 590 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's thrown the ball 92 times in 2 games. They are letting him just sling it all around the field.
Some serious confidence.
Yes, they are. And Josh Gordon in only 2 games, 14 receptions, over 200 yards and a touchdown, averaging over 15 yards per reception. I don't know if you could say Hoyer rejuvenated this offense or if they got motivated from Trent Richardson being traded or what, but they obviously aren't giving up on the season. And you see how topsy-turvy the AFC North can be. They're going to make some noise as the season goes on if they continue playing as well as they have. And I definitely have them winning this week against Buffalo, despite Buffalo having a huge win against the defending Super Bowl champs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the Browns have surprised a lot of people. And like I said, I don't think Buffalo has proved themselves on the road yet. I don't think E.J. Manuel has proved himself on the road yet. And this is a good opportunity for him to do that. Against a Cleveland team that is obviously beatable.
Yep.
But I don't see it.
Manuel's only road start was in New York, right? And they lost to the Jets?
Correct.
Lost to the Jets.
But heading into this next game, Johnny, we're going to the Sunday games. We have the Saints, who just walked all over.
Yeah, welcome to reality, Miami.
Oh, walked all over the Dolphins, which we called.
Yep.
We did call that. Drew Brees, Jimmy Graham, probably the most dominant connection right now in the NFL. Going up against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Matt Forte has had a very good season so far. In the running game, Jay Cutler, even though he just doesn't look like a person I would want to hang out with, he's having a pretty good season. Johnny Stank, who you got in this game?
I got the Saints for the pure, simple reason that Chicago couldn't stop Detroit on offense. How are they going to stop New Orleans? You know what? It's going to be tough. I mean, I could see Chicago winning this game because New Orleans is in Chicago. It's not in the Superdome. But Jimmy Graham right now is on a different level. He's absolutely fantastic. And even Darren Sproles in the first half last game tore up Miami's defense. Now, Chicago, I think, is more disciplined than Miami's defense. But I think that spells trouble. He had 7 catches and 114 yards Monday night. That's Darren Sproles. I got the Saints winning this one. I got them going to 5-0. And Jimmy Graham, I think he'll add to that touchdown total. He's got 6 already. I think he'll have 7 or 8 by the end of this game.
Yeah, that definitely goes without saying. I had the Saints as well. I was completely going to bring up your point about the Lions. If they're not going to stop that. I really don't see.
But with that being said, Lions' offense is good.
Lions' offense is good, but compared to the Saints, there really is no comparison. Drew Brees is on another level, and I'll tell you what too. The Saints were up. It was like 38-13 last week at the Dolphins. Second down, they're still throwing a 40-yard passes. They are gun-ho 24/7 regardless of the score. They will never be out of a game.
That's why Sean Payton's back.
And that's, and absolutely. And I really think the Bears are a good team. There's no knock on the Bears. I think they have surprised people. They're kind of flying under the radar.
A little bit.
I think the Bears always do. But with that, I think the Saints are just too dominant. Jimmy Graham is too good. You can't guard him. How do you guard him?
No, remember Tirico was talking. Mike Tirico, Monday Night Football play-by-play, was talking like Jimmy Graham has not yet been targeted in this game. Next play, like a double team, Jimmy Graham just runs up, grabs it like it's a rebound, and just drops in the end zone.
His size is just
it's impeccable.
It's just he's not a tight end size. It's just not. He's just a monster.
There was an interesting article though. I think this is a contract here for Jimmy Graham.
It is.
There was an interesting article because the Saints line him up on wide receiver a lot, and they're saying someone wrote that's going to hurt them contract wise because he's going to want to be paid like a wide receiver, saying you put me out there, and wide receivers make more money than tight ends. It's just a known fact. So it's interesting that argument's being made. I think the Saints are going to do everything they can to re-sign him, but it's just an interesting idea.
Oh, definitely. I think. Look. You said it. They're going to pay him regardless. I don't even know. Maybe they might even be like, Jimmy, what do you want?
Exactly.
I think whatever
blank check.
Not whatever he wants, but at least they're going to try to reach somewhat of his means, try to keep him. The last thing Drew Brees wants is number one target to go.
Yeah.
But this is a good stat. Jimmy Graham, through the 4 games, 27 catches, 458 yards, 6 touchdowns. He's the first tight end to win Offensive Player of the Month.
There we go.
So that is, I mean, this just goes without saying that this guy is vital to the Saints, and he is definitely going to have at least 1 touchdown against the Bears because regardless of how many people they put on him, he's just too big and too dominant.
He really is.
But going into this next game, Johnny Stank's undefeated New England Patriots with a surprise win, at least in my opinion, over the Falcons last week. A
big dub.
Huge win.
Big dub.
Patriots withstood a Falcons comeback.
I was nervous.
I think every Patriots fan got nervous for, but that's a huge win in Atlanta last week. They're going back on the road. They're going to go to Cincinnati, who came off a bad loss last week, Johnny Stank. Bad divisional loss. So, Johnny Stank, should I even ask who you have?
No, you shouldn't because you just know it's the Patriots. I actually, in the beginning of the season, I had the Patriots losing this game. Just because I wasn't sure where the Patriots would be at, and I thought the Bengals would frankly be better than what they are right now. I've been disappointed with what the Bengals have done. Andy Dalton has not impressed me that much. He hasn't taken that next step. Giovanni Bernard's been good, but he hasn't been the showstopper I expected him to be every game. And I think the Patriots, what you saw going down to Atlanta, now Atlanta's not as good as everyone thought they were, but you still went down to Atlanta and put up points. And you almost blew it. Akeem Talib, what a play to save the game. Went bonkers in my room. What a play. And then he just goes, sits on the bench, puts his knee up, and just be like, ain't no big thing. Casual, just do my job. But I think you really have to be impressed. And if the Patriots defense played very well the first 3 quarters, and the Falcons still have a great offense, and they shut down Julio Jones for the first 3 quarters. And Julio Jones is a better receiver than A.J. Green. Both very, very talented, but I'd put Julio a step up. If Akeem Talib can stop A.J. Green, I think Patriots have a great shot of moving to 5-0.
Yeah, you see flashes of really good play from the Bengals. I don't think you see complete games from the Bengals. You see Andy Dalton having a good series, or you see, Giovanni Bernard having a good run. You see flashes of steps in the right direction, but the Bengals aren't there yet. And the Patriots, as much as you want to knock on them, I think their defense is kind of being underrated right now. Everyone's talking about Brady and how he's trying to figure out everything, which is true. Brady has a lot on his plate right now, and he's surprising a lot of people.
Just signed Austin Collie, though, a veteran wide receiver.
We'll see how that goes. That's that could be a crucial signing, but any signing the Patriots have, they definitely use every single person on their roster from top to bottom. But you see this Patriots defense that is keeping them in the games as well. And with that, I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think the Bengals, they're okay. They're just an okay football team.
Yeah, disappointing, I think, this far.
Going into the season, I was like, Bengals are ready to go in this division, and I'm a little indecisive about the Bengals. So this week, I'm definitely not going to make the mistake of not picking the Patriots. I'll pick the Patriots.
I mean, I think it's a big loss losing Vince Wilfork for the year. But they did adjust mid-game against the Falcons. It's now how they adjust the full season. It's a big loss. You can't deny it. But the the Bengals offense ranks 22nd in the NFL, and that's well below what people expected. So I think the Patriots should be able to stop them, and they should be able to really take control of the AFC East.
Absolutely.
Let's go into this next game, though. we got a really tight NFC North battle between two very high-powered offenses, and one of them is coming off a bye. We got Detroit going to Lambeau in a huge offensive showdown.
Yeah, I will definitely take the over in this game.
Yes.
That would be the first thing I would take. But I'm going to go with the Packers here, Johnny. I think the Packers off a bye is just a is 100%. That's you can't touch that. I think they're ready. They have a whole week of rest. Detroit, I don't see their defense stopping Aaron Rodgers. And it's in Lambeau. This is a no-brainer for me. I got the Packers.
The Lions have lost 22 straight games in Wisconsin against the Packers.
So first they had the Schneid in Washington, and now they have a worse Schneid in Green Bay.
Exactly. I believe Eddie Lacy is also going to be fully healthy for this game, so it'll be good to get him back. James Starks is still out. If this is a regular game, I think. After the way Detroit played last week, their offense and their defense forcing, I believe it was 4 turnovers from Jay Cutler, at least 4. I might pick Detroit, but coming off a bye and a 1-2 record, you can't. The Packers' offense is gonna be on fire, and I think that Aaron Rodgers is gonna have a day. Detroit, if their pass rush can get to Rodgers, they'll cause havoc. But if you give Rodgers just 4 seconds in the pocket every time, he'll be fine. That's why I got to go with the Packers in this one.
Without a doubt. Heading into this next game, Johnny, that was a quick one. I think that was just a
coming off a bye. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers, you can't pick against it.
But we'll go here. Another surprise, undefeated team, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna. Who would have thought Chiefs and Titans would be this
might be the game of the week.
This is a game to watch this week. The Chiefs are going to go to Tennessee, who devoured the Jets last week.
Yes.
But a fun fact, not so fun for Tennessee fans, is Jake Locker is going to be out for this game, but former Buffalo Bills starter Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starter. Johnny Stank, who do you got?
Despite the impeccable intelligence of Ryan Fitzpatrick, I'm going to have to go with the smarts of Andy Reid because his genius has made this team into a new identity. They've really just turned a corner. Can we just talk about how Andy Reid is 3-0 against NFC East teams 4 weeks into the season? Just taking his old coaching job, bringing it to Kansas City.
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about that. I'd rather you not talk about that.
Exactly. But Jamal Charles averaging 125 yards per scrimmage per game. He's having a great season. Alex Smith did have 2 turnovers, I believe, against the Giants, but still, the Kansas City defense is really underrated. They have no big names whatsoever, but they just all do their job to steal the Patriots line. I'm going with the Chiefs. They're going to go 5-0.
I agree. There isn't really anything you can tell me for me to pick the Titans. I think the Chiefs play a more reserved kind of game. They don't really beat themselves, and the Titans don't have enough weapons to kind of get on the Chiefs. They're not going to put pressure on the Chiefs to do basically anything in this game.
Exactly.
I guess Nate Washington is their biggest threat.
Big fantasy pickup for me this week. Do well with Nate Washington.
Please don't, because for listeners, it is Mike Ritz versus Johnny Stanko in our fantasy league this week. But yeah, I think Fitzpatrick is okay, and he's an okay backup to have for problems.
I think he's a good backup to have.
For problems like this. You would want somebody who's done it before. He's a veteran guy. I think it's his 9th year in the league.
Yep.
And but I don't see Andy Reid losing this game. The Titans are topsy-turvy. Like you need to rely on Chris Johnson, who has shown that he's only spotty.
Yep.
He will have one or two solid weeks, and that might be it. But so for that, I think the Chiefs are a little more consistent so far, so I'm going to go with them.
Can we just talk about how well the Chiefs defense is top rated in the NFL, allowing just 10 points per game? They lead the league with 18 sacks. I did not see that when reading that stat. Also, their punter, Dustin Colquitt, leads the league with 15 punts inside the opponent's 20-yard line. So they do all the little things well. And that's really just, it's adding up to the wins.
It's huge.
Adding up to the wins.
And that definitely goes off of Andy Reid's coaching.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely.
We'll talk about another game of the week.
Yes, a toughie.
Seattle Seahawks, arguably the best team in the league. Going into Indianapolis, taking on Andrew Luck and the Colts, their new, fresh, rejuvenated Colts. Mm-hmm. Russell Wilson versus Andrew Luck, the same draft. First pick overall versus a 3rd round draft pick. Johnny Stank. Who do you got?
I'm not gonna lie. I thought really hard about this one.
This is probably the toughest pick of the week.
I really did. The Colts are playing absolutely fantastic. And Trent Richardson, he hasn't carried the ball much. He hasn't got many yards, but he's still doing what they need him to do. The Colts defense is playing very well, but I gotta go with Seattle. Until Seattle loses, I can't go against them. They pulled off the crazy win last week against Houston in Houston. They came back from behind. Now, I think Indianapolis is a better team than Houston right now, but I think also that road battle against Houston is going to make Seattle more battle-tested, and I think they'll be ready heading into Lucas Oil Stadium to pull out the W. It's going to be a tight game, and whichever quarterback has the ball last is going to win the game, because both quarterbacks are fantastic at closing. So you know what? I'm going to go with Seattle. I'm going to give you a score on this one.
Okay.
I'm going 24-21 Seattle.
All right. Oh, man. All right. Well, I really thought Stanko was going to pick the Colts because I also picked the Seahawks.
Goddamn.
I'm really going to have to look at this when we make our picks for the pick'em because you can make it. It's really a coin flip game.
It is.
Granted, if it's in Seattle, I think it's a no-brainer. But the Colts are playing well, and the Colts play well at home, despite their close call on the Raiders in Week 1.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew Luck has been playing well. I think the fact that he's more of a pocket quarterback makes me trust him more than Russell Wilson to win me a game. That might be the only thing. If it's a close game, I think Andrew Luck has a better shot of getting me that touchdown than Russell Wilson does.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Seattle's defense is too good. I think they're going to stuff Richardson. I think they're going to bring. I think Richard Sherman, who had a huge pick last week.
Yeah. Wait till we get to the Texans game because I'm going to light into.
Oh
Matt
my
Shaw.
Lord! And I think Seattle's defense is too good. And you said it. Until Seattle loses, I can't not pick them. So I'm going to go with Seattle as well. Definitely one of the games of the week.
Yeah, this is a game you don't see often. Like, it's not like a game that's like a marquee game, if you will. But just, you look at the two teams right now and how well they're playing, and you have to be intrigued. And I think that's the best case scenario. This is it's also a test game for the Colts because they're good. You know they might be the face of the AFC South. But how good are they? You're going up against one of the top 3 teams in the NFL.
This is a Super Bowl test, if you will, because
Exactly.
Seattle is on that caliber already.
Yeah.
So should the Colts be in that conversation? This is what this game.
Do they want to take that next step? Exactly. But let's talk about a team that's not going to be taking any steps anytime soon. Let's go to the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the St. Louis Rams. Jacksonville going into St. Louis. Jacksonville got trounced last week against the Colts, especially in the second half.
Oof.
And the Rams, they're a disappointing 1-3. Darrell Richardson has done nothing, replacing Steven Jackson. Jeff Fisher announced this week he's going to go running back by committee. And this is the 2 worst rushing teams in the NFL. The Jaguars averaging only 2.3 yards per carry. The Rams averaging only 2.6 yards per carry. So I think there might be a lot of throwing the ball. And in that case, I'm going to have to go with the Rams because I trust Sam Bradford over Chad Henne or Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah, this is going to be short because every Jacksonville game is short. There's nothing that they're going to do that is going to make me pick them this like any.
Justin Blackman's back. What?
Yeah. But I think the only thing is that they are equal in the running game, but with when they went with Bradford, I think Bradford's going to go. This is probably going to be his best game of the year, obviously. Mm-hmm. The Rams aren't a sure thing; they aren't a dominant team. So Jacksonville this might be a close game, at least in Jacksonville's eyes. I don't think it's going to be a laugher like the past couple games have been, but. St. Louis playing on their home field with the worst team in the NFL coming in. St. Louis isn't going to lose this game. I have the Rams as well.
No, also, didn't the Rams play on Thursday, so they have extra time to prepare for Jacksonville?
Because
you need extra time to prepare for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I would prepare for week 6 before I prepare for week 5.
Extra preparation.
Are you kidding me? But yeah, that's a no-brainer. We got the Rams. But what isn't a no-brainer, Johnny Stanko?
No.
Definitely not a no-brainer. Baltimore Ravens, who have woke up. They're up. They might be playing, maybe not just like their Super Bowl team, but at least they're showing signs of the team that they were.
Except where they go to Ralph Wilson Stadium.
And except when they lose in the Mecca. And going up against the Dolphins, who got diddy bopped last week.
Yes.
Completely wrecked by the Saints. Stanko, they're playing in Miami, but who do you got?
This is another toughie. This is another game I had to think about. I was really disappointed by both teams, frankly, in Week 4. The Ravens came out a dud against Buffalo, a team that they should beat, and they would have beaten last year. Joe Flacco was awful. Against a depleted Bills secondary, he threw 5 interceptions. That is absolutely atrocious. And you got the big money contract, and you threw 5 interceptions? No. You should throw 5 interceptions in a year if you get that much money. It just doesn't happen. He played awful. And then on the other hand, where was the Dolphins' defense against the Saints? You didn't have Cameron Wake, sure, but you still have to put up some sort of front. In the first half, they were just, after the first quarter, it was done. It was over. With that being said, out of these 2 huge disappointments from Week 4, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens. In Miami, the reason I say it is because Coach Harbaugh says they're going to feed Ray Rice the ball on every single play, which they haven't done. Ray Rice has been banged up, but he's healthy now. And also, Miami played on Monday, shorter time to prepare for Baltimore. That's why I'm going to have to go with Baltimore beating Miami in Florida.
Stink. This is not fun. This is another game I thought we were going to disagree on. Because I have the Ravens as well. I think the healthy Ray Rice is huge. I think them Miami playing on Monday night might hurt them as well. I think the Ravens, I think Flacco has a lot to prove now. He threw 5 picks. People are starting to talk about this big contract.
He has 5 touchdowns and 7 interceptions on the year.
It's huge. It's not definitely not what it should be. And I just think that the Ravens defense is going to show up. I think they're going to get to Tannehill. I think the Dolphins aren't as good as a lot of people. We said, people aren't talking about the Dolphins when they were 3-0. And I think that people might have seen 3-0 and now had them up there with the Saints. And
I've been into it a little bit.
I've been into it a little bit, but I don't think that I don't think they've been really, really tested. And then they got tested and they got killed.
Yep.
So with that, I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I think the Ravens last week that's what happens in the Mecca. You're just gonna get beat. And I have the Ravens as well.
Just looking at comparing these stats, these teams are so evenly matched. Baltimore and Miami each average scoring 22.8 points per game. Baltimore averages letting up 21.8. Miami averages letting up 22.8. I mean, it's literally, they're so close.
Can we talk about Torrey Smith, the year that he is having?
Yes.
He is having a fantastic year.
Yes.
Over 400 yards receiving,
yes.
I think, right?
21 receptions.
435 yards receiving. He has 21 receptions on the year, and he's been fantastic. He's been Flacco's only target.
Yes.
What needs to happen is he needs to find somebody else to throw it to. I think that is a huge problem right now for Flacco.
I mean, Dallas Clark is second on the team with 16 receptions, but he only has 175 yards. Those are the dinky donkey passes that no one else is getting open, so he's dropping it off to him.
So I think that is definitely an issue with the Ravens, is that they don't have enough people to kind of piggyback off of what Torrey Smith is doing, and obviously with Ray Rice hurt, that definitely hurt the Ravens last week. But then him being healthy is going to help him in this game.
Now, Torrey Smith having a great year. Can we just talk about how disappointing Mike Wallace has been?
Oof, that is a drama-filled team right now, and I think that's also another reason why me and Johnny are going to go with the Ravens here, is because it's a mess. I think after every game you hear Mike Wallace say something.
He's upset.
And I mean, if you're paying me that much money to play, and I'm not getting any targets, then I would probably say something myself. But that's the last thing Tannehill needs the last thing that the Dolphins need is your star that you're going to bring in that is supposed to help your team win.
Yeah.
And just completely cause maybe controversy or a little bit of riff. Fighting, a little bit of a riff in the locker room is the last thing you need. So we'll see how Mike Wallace does in this big game.
I mean, he's 4th on the team in receptions with 15 and 4th with 176 yards. That's incredibly disappointing. There's no bones about it. But let's go to the next game, the 1 o'clock game. Probably going to be the game of the week just because it is one of the best rivalries in football. We have the Philadelphia Eagles going into the New York Giants. The teams have a combined record of 1-7. Christ. Giants 0-4, Eagles 1-3. Eagles haven't won since week 1. Both these defenses have been pushed to the brink. Both these offenses have had lapses that have been incredibly disappointing. But the Giants This is their best chance to get a win so far this season at home against Philadelphia, and the Giants are only 2 games out of first place despite playing so awful. Michael Ritz, are your boys going to get their first win on Sunday?
We're doing it this week, Johnny. We are doing it. G-Men, baby. This is no way Stanko picking the Giants in this game.
No way.
We got the G-Men. My boy Eli is finally going to come through. I would knock on Philly's defense, but I think statistically we are worse. But the Phillies defense is terrible, as bad as we have been. I think the fact that we're going back home up against the Eagles, no less. Obviously, both teams are going to bring it in this rivalry game. But I think Mike Vick has had an okay year. But
he's healthy still.
He's healthy still. But his completion percentage is low, and I think the fact that Eli's completion percentage is low is because the line needs to do a little bit better to protect him. But I really feel like going into this game at MetLife Stadium, Eagles coming in, all we got to do, the whole thing is if we can limit LaShawn McCoy to I would hold him, if you hold him under 100 yards, if you hold them under 100 yards, I think that the Giants are going to have a very good shot. I think Cruz is going to have a big game. I think Nix, who hasn't done much at all season, he needs to have
12 receptions.
He needs to have a game this week. I think Daniel Wilson has played a little better. Has played a little tiny better. You can't get much worse.
A fraction.
You can't get much worse. Completely biased pick, but I'm going to go with the Giants.
This is where we disagree because this is where we disagree. Now you said the Giants' defense was worse. It's actually not true. Eagles allowing 450 yards per game. Giants only 390.
Well, let's see in points.
I got points for you right here. I got points for you right here.
No.
Average points allowed, 37 points allowed for the Giants, 35 for Philadelphia.
So either way,
it's
just two bad defenses.
This is a game where I would also take the over. Because
definitely
so many points.
Not even the fact that both teams' offenses are good, which in the Eagles there is, but it's just the defenses
both teams' defenses are so bad. But the reason I have Philadelphia is simply LaShawn McCoy. He has been the savior of my fantasy team. He leads the league in rushing with 117 yards per game. He's also a beast out of the backfield catching the ball. I think it's going to be screen passes for days. And that pass rush for the Giants is not going to be able to catch up to LaShawn McCoy or chip him or do anything. If he gets in the open field, I don't think the Giants are fundamentally sound tackling to tackle him. Also, 4 of McCoy's 100-yard rushing games have come against the Giants. Can I see the Giants winning? Yes. It's in New York. You're going to be pumped. It's Philadelphia. But you know what? The Giants only have 4 sacks on the year.
Ugh.
And you're going against one of the most mobile quarterbacks in the NFL, Michael Vick. And you're going against, frankly, one of the best offenses. I mean, the reason they're such a good offense is because they throw the ball all the time because they're down because their defense is so awful. But I'm going to go with Philadelphia. It's going to be like a 38-34 game, something crazy.
I definitely see that. I agree with the score. I definitely agree with the score.
It's going to be absolutely nuts.
It's going to be crazy. But the fact that both teams have a huge chance right here. If the Eagles win, we didn't even get to Dallas yet. Dallas is going up against Denver.
Yes.
Which not to ruin this order that we're going in, but Denver's going to win that game. We're going to go
with Denver in that game.
Denver's going to win that game.
When we get to it.
Cowboys are going to be 2-3. The winner of this game, if the Eagles win, they're going to be 2-3. They're going to be tied for first. If the Giants win, they start the season 0-4. They get to 1-4, as well as the Eagles will be 1-4. And they're only one game out, and they're back in business. So I think.
Can I just say this right now, though?
Yeah.
I'm saying this right now. I'm sticking the fork in the Giants season.
I completely agree that if the Giants lose this game, this is the Giants' last shot. Completely agree.
I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
I think if they lose this game, then I think all hell's going to break loose, honestly. Because not only did you lose in your 0-5, you lost to the Eagles who did it to you. But if you win, I think that's a huge momentum boost, and I think that'll be huge for the rest of the season. So this is the make or break game, and let's go G-Men, baby. Let's do it.
Gang green, Eagles. Have you read the Facebook conversations for the quarterbacks that were on the Pro Football Talk
No.
online that showed you last year?
Oh, yeah.
Read the recent one from last week. And to anyone who has to look up this, just look up quarterback Facebook chat or Facebook conversation on Google. The chats are hilarious. They're not safe for work, but they're really funny. And the last one is focusing on Eli and the Manning family.
Nice.
And it's very, very, very funny. So you should definitely check that out, everyone.
Heading into this next game, Johnny Stank, another funny game. Mm-hmm. I really think this is a tough game to pick. You got the Carolina Panthers, who Cam Newton has shown signs of greatness, really, against the Giants. And
was it really that hard?
Was really hit. And then going up against a Arizona Cardinals team, came off of a tough, hard-fought win, 13-10 win last week. They're 2-2. Mm-hmm. Playing in Arizona, Johnny Stank, what do you got?
I'm gonna go with Carolina in this game. Now they're coming off a bye. That does play into it just a little bit. But the offense, now I know the Giants' defense is terrible. I know. But the offense, I think, showed that they can run the football, which I think they hadn't done. D'Angelo Williams had a good game. And if they can do that against Arizona, I think it's going to be a good win for them. Carson Palmer hasn't done much with this new team in Arizona. He has 4 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He's still an upgrade from what they have, as bad as that is. But I'm going to have to go with Carolina. Their defense is incredibly underrated. Pick them up for fantasy this week, so do good, Carolina.
Man.
Do good, Carolina. So, I mean, and D'Angelo Williams, he's coming off his best game of the year, 120 yards on 23 carries. I mean, his last 4 games, dating back to last season, Williams has averaged 125 yards per game and 6 yards per carry over his last 4 games. That's why I'm going to go with Carolina Panthers.
I agree, and it's just off the simple fact that no one's talking about Carolina's defense. I think they talk about Carolina's defense. Their average points allowed is 12. Mm-hmm. 12 points allowed in 4 games, and that's fantastic. The Giants do that in a quarter. I think that is huge. I think Cam Newton can run all over the Cardinals' defense.
Yes.
And I think Carson Palmer hasn't shown much. He only has Fitzgerald, and the way he's thrown the ball, he can't get it to Fitzgerald. Mm-hmm. So I really think that the Cardinals, who did they even play last week, Johnny? They went 13-10. It wasn't.
They played Tampa Bay.
They played Tampa Bay,
who started a rookie quarterback.
Can't beat anybody. And they went 13-10. It's just not they are not an impressive 2-2 whatsoever. Carolina's coming off a bye. I got Carolina as well.
Yeah, also, but the thing you have to look forward to is the Cardinals did hold Doug Martin to only 45 yards and 27 carries. So if they can do that to D'Angelo Williams, you got to be a little bit concerned. But also, that's Tampa Bay's offense, which has not done anything all year. So that's why I don't look too much into it.
Definitely not.
Moving into the next game, though, we foreshadowed it before. Let's just get to it now. Denver at Dallas. It's in Dallas, sure, but still, I think we both agree it's Denver's game. And until someone beats Denver, we're going to pick them every single week because they are absolutely unstoppable offensively.
Peyton has 16 touchdowns this season, 0 interceptions. That is just unheard of. This guy is playing his best football, and some people say the best years are behind him, but this might be, statistically, this is his best season so far. He has played fantastic. Dallas is a good team. They are a good team, but they lost a tough one last week off of a goal line fumble. Yeah. In San Diego, which I was happy that the Chargers ended up winning that game, despite Rivers being their quarterback. But but Dallas definitely has issues here. They gave up over 300 yards passing, which that's all Peyton needs to hear because it's going to be game over in the first half. Denver's too good. They are one of the best teams in the NFL, and they are definitely the best offensive team in the NFL.
I think it's going to be a lot of passing in this game. Now, Dallas' defense ranks 27th in the league defending the pass, 305 yards opponents throw against them. Denver allows 316, but that's because everyone has to throw to catch up to them. So that's why I can't look at that stat. But I think both Tony Romo and Peyton Manning are going to have good games just because it's going to... Denver only allows 75 rushing yards per game. DeMarco Murray's not going to get much on the ground. It's going to be Des Bryant versus Demaryius Thomas, who's going to have a better game. But with that being said, I'd take Peyton Manning over Tony Romo any day of the week, any time of day, ever. So it's Denver. They're the best team in the NFL right now.
No doubt. Without a doubt.
Moving on to a pretty interesting game, I think, if you will. We have the Sunday night game, Houston Texans coming off a absolutely crushing defeat to Seattle at home, going into San Francisco and going into Candlestick. Colin Kaepernick coming off a pretty good performance against St. Louis, a bounce-back game, if you will, after a couple weeks of struggling. But Houston is going to be looking for revenge because they had that game versus Seattle in the bag and they blew it all away. We got the 49ers and Texans. Who you got here?
I'm going to go with the Niners. I think Houston did show really good signs against a very good Seattle team. But the simple fact is I don't trust Matt Schaub. I really don't. He had a disgusting, probably a terrible. I know you can't focus on one play.
No, you can. You can on that play.
That interception was just not even. He didn't need to throw that ball at all. We are going back to them playing Seattle. It was. They were up. It was a 7-point game.
Yeah.
It was 20-13. And he just throws it right to the best corner in the game, Richard Sherman, and he took a pick six. Yeah. It was a laugher. It was one of those flag football pick sixes. Mm-hmm. And I really don't trust Matt Schaub. I think the resurgence of Frank Gore, not Kaepernick, Frank Gore, who if he has a solid run game, the Niners are really hard to beat. Kaepernick, yes, he did bounce back. He only threw for 167 yards last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not back to his old self, really. He did throw for 2 touchdowns, which is definitely what he needed. He needed to get in the end zone. Vernon Davis, who has been hurt, is healthy again.
Yes,
he was still banged up while he was playing last week. He had one of his only receptions last week was a touchdown. But with him being back and healthy, that is definitely going to help out Kaepernick. It's in San Francisco. I'm happy that it is a Sunday night game that is actually worth watching. With this, I'm going to go with Frisco.
I'm going to go with Frisco as well. I think that they held the Rams to only 19 rushing yards. I know Darrell Richardson has been disappointing, but still only 19 the entire game total. And I think it's going to be a struggle for Arian Foster to get anything, or Ben Tate. Also, they did that without Patrick Wills or Aldon Smith in the lineup. Now, Aldon Smith is still not going to be there for the 49ers with his DUI. He's still going to be in rehab, which, good for him. He made the right decision. But I still think that pass rush is very, very good. Matt Schaub, I don't trust him at all. That interception he threw was absolutely... How would you do that? Why would you even throw that ball? Take the sack. Throw it away. I mean, waste time. Trust your defense. J.J. Watt has 3.5 sacks over the past 3 games. He's doing his normal thing. Brian Cushing's had a heck of a game before getting taken out with a concussion. You have to go with San Francisco in this one because after 2 close wins to start off the season, the Texans have lost 2 straight. And they've really been, I think they've been humbled. And then another trendy Super Bowl pick like the Bengals, they're struggling right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kaepernick is the guy to watch because, as I said, he didn't have a great game last week. It was steps in the right direction. I think he's definitely taken a lot of heat so far in the past 2-3 games. Mm-hmm. So let's see how he does. I think the fact that they're at home also helps, but that is definitely a good Sunday night game to watch. But we'll go to a Sunday night game that no one's going to watch because it's so friggin' late. We got the San Diego Chargers taking on the Oakland Raiders because of playoff baseball, Stanko.
Yes.
They moved this game to 11:35 Eastern time. Mm-hmm. That is a late game. Let's face it, unfortunately for me, Rivers has played very well. This season, he really has, and I think his efficiency has surprised me. To be honest,
yes.
He has not been an efficient quarterback for his entire career, and so far this season, he's really put up some numbers. You usually see him completing 30 passes, but it would take 55 to 60 passes for him to do it. Here, he's only throwing about 6 or 7 incompletions a game.
Yeah.
So his play has really been great. Oakland is terrible. Oakland is definitely one of the worst teams in the league.
Agreed.
I think Darren McFadden is
banged up
as always, unfortunately. And despite this game being in Oakland, I see the Chargers taking this one handily.
I agree. I just want to point out Antonio Gates had over 100 yards receiving and a touchdown last week in the win against Dallas. Also, Tony Gonzalez for Atlanta had 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards receiving. Can we just talk about those 2 players just turning back the clock and just doing their normal thing?
Oh my! Forget it. It's just every time you think those 2 guys are done, especially Gates. Like at least Tony Gonzalez. I don't know. You
he's going to
almost expected at Tony Gonzalez. We figure out of Gates, Chargers isn't that good of a team.
Yeah.
We figured, he's going to cash it in and that'll be it. But he keeps bringing it, and you know what? Rivers is not a dumb guy. As dumb as he looks, he is not a dumb guy, and he knows that that's the guy he needs to get the ball to, and he does. And
can we just talk about though the infamous Danny Woodhead?
But Rivers is making him look good.
Okay.
Danny Woodhead is making Rivers look good.
There we go. Danny Woodhead, I believe, had 2 touchdown receptions last week.
I think it's crazy that these are touchdown receptions, but they're not slots.
No,
they're deep passes to Danny Woodhead,
which
makes it even more. Which makes it more of a surprise because he's not throwing screen passes.
The 5 foot something's going up for jump balls that coming up.
It's crazy the place that they have him that they have him in.
Yeah, I mean it's also going to suffer though. Dwight Freeney for San Diego went on the IR after tearing his quadriceps last week. I mean he had 15 quarterback hurries and 3 hits, so he was having a good season. It's going to be a tough loss for San Diego. But with that being said, Terrell Pryor is cleared to play, so he's going to replace Matt Flynn. It still doesn't mean anything for me. I'm still going to have to go with San Diego. And you know what, Philip Rivers, you're completing 74% of your passes, have 11 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions, and 1,200 passing yards. You're doing something right.
Oh man, it's just bad for me to say. I was that entire time I was giving Rivers credit. It's just a changing of the guard.
Changing of the guard. That's right.
Going into this game, I mean, the Monday night game. Gotta watch about 10 minutes of it. Then you can change the channel. Got the New York Jets, who just got killed by the Titans.
Yes.
Wasn't even a game.
Wasn't a game.
Even the refs tried to help out, and he couldn't do it. Going against Atlanta, who is definitely going to seek some revenge from taking an L from Johnny Stink's Patriots last week.
Whoop, whoop.
They are back in the Dome with Matty Ice. And I don't see anybody except Ronan taking the Jets in this game. So I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think they have way too many weapons. Matty Ice, Tony Gonzalez, Julio Jones, Roddy White. You can just keep going on and on. And I got Atlanta.
I think I completely agree with you. Now, I just think there's a little bit of trouble for Atlanta because the Jets do have a good defense. You can't deny it. Their offense is bad. But I mean, their defense wasn't good last week. But you know what? There were also just some crazy plays last week for the Jets. The Falcons' red zone offense is ranked 29th in the NFL, completing only 40% for touchdowns. And that's with the weapons that you have and you're not scoring. Now, that's also Steven Jackson. He used a bulldozer in the goal line. He's meant to go there to push that ball into the goal line. That's what Michael Turner did last year. He's not there right now. But with that being said, the big play capability of Atlanta is going to carry them in this game. Because I don't know if anyone could do what Aqib Talib did to Julio Jones last week. There's only a select few quarterbacks. Can Antonio Cromartie? We're going to find out. Because he's going to be matched up on him all game long. But Matt Ryan, there's no need for him to have the big moment. I mean, he's failed twice this year on final plays against Patriots last week and then the Saints week 1. There's no need for that this week. I think they'll be in control in the fourth quarter, and I think they'll be running it out, and I think they're going to get an easy, at least 10-point W.
Yeah, definitely. I think the reason why Atlanta is struggling, which they're not going to struggle this week, but they don't really have a run game.
Yeah.
They really don't have a run game. I think they really were going to rely on Steven Jackson, but he's banged up. They have Snelling, who really hasn't done much. They have Rodgers, who hasn't really done much. So I think if you have a run game, it opens up so many more, I guess, opportunities from the score with all of their good receivers, all of their best players, minus Matty Ice, are receivers.
Yeah.
So the lack of run game is the reason why Atlanta isn't being talked about as a Super Bowl favorite anymore, because I think people saw them as at least to have a shot to get into the Super Bowl. But with their lack of run game, that's going to be key. I really want to see how Geno Smith's going to play
in the Dome.
In the Dome, struggled last week, to say the least.
Yes,
he had people were talking about he had butt fumble number 2 last week.
Did you see that play?
That was a tough play, and that ended up a touchdown.
I think so.
That was a touchdown.
Yeah. Exactly like the original butt fumble.
It was like a 15-yard sack that he fumbled, but he tried to switch hands.
Basketball move, behind
the back, right to left, and as he was getting sacked and he went for the switch, a fumble, the ball goes in the end zone, Titans landed on top of it, and it was just another touchdown for the Titans like last week. But I really want to see how Geno Smith's going to bounce back. on the road. So let's see, but I really don't see Atlanta losing this game at all.
Especially with starting receivers Antonio Holmes banged up with a hamstring and Stephen Hill banged up with a concussion, not knowing if they're going to play. If you don't have those two guys, good luck, Gino. With Chris Ivory being injured as well, you're starting running back.
Good luck, Gino. Good luck.
So, good luck to you.
That's going to be team's best bets right there. It's going to be Atlanta.
Yeah, I can agree. That might be my lock of the week.
Probably
lock of the week, Atlanta. Lock of the week. Speaking of locks, we struggled again in week 4. We both went 9-7. At least we had positive records this week. We're moving forward. Overall, I am 39-25. Mike is 37-27.
All right.
So, I mean, we're getting better. We're getting better. Comparing this to the ESPN expert picks, we really hope that
let's not.
Let's see if let's see if Ritz is still matched up again with Haji.
He's better than me.
Haji is better at 38-25. Oh,
Jesus Christ.
That's rough. And then what is your record? 37-27.
The only guy I'm better than
is Adam Schefter.
Yep. Oh boy.
Adam Schefter. That's rough. He went 7-8 last week. That's a struggle. Actually, so we went 7-8, not 7-9, or we went because there weren't 16 games last week.
Right.
So
15.
Yeah. Good job, Stanko. Good job, Stanko. But we both went 9-6 last week. So you know what? It looks better than 9-7.
It does.
It looks better than 9-7.
I'll take it.
But we'll look to improve, hopefully, in week 5. The only disagreement we had was the Giants and the Eagles.
Let's go, baby. G-Men are doing it this week.
It's a big game, regardless of who you're rooting for, regardless.
A huge game.
NFL-wise. But we'll come back next week. Well, hopefully we'll have to recap if we're not too busy.
Let's hope not.
Let's hope not. Hopefully the basketball office doesn't keep you late. And then we're also going to have the Week 6 preview, of course, and we're also going to recap who wins fantasy this week.
Oh man,
Mike Ritz 3-1 in fantasy. Mike Ritz 3-1. I am 2-2. Big game for me. I got to get in the positive after starting off 0-2. But we'll just see what happens. But I want to thank you everyone for tuning in. We'll be back next week, and be sure to comment on it if you have any interesting comments. So have a good day, everyone.